Hi everyone, Nemo here, back to fact check another Fair Mormon video. It's a short one this week unfortunately, but let's get to it.
One of the weirdest stories in church history is the story of the Kinderhook Plates, and obviously the CES letter cannot help but distort the story.
Oh, so we're just starting aggressive on this one? We're just...
Yeah.
Okay, all right, no, let's do it.
Okay, so what are the Kinderhook Plates? 6 bell-shaped brass plates were brought to Joseph Smith to translate.
People were excited, and even apostles Parley P. Pratt and John Taylor talked about how Joseph probably would translate them.
Citation needed there. I'd like to see a source for that, if we could.
The only problem is, he didn't. Here to comment more are the Kinderhook Plates.
Oh, excuse me.
Right. Let's look at what else John Taylor said. He published a broadside with the following statement. The content of the plates, together with a facsimile of the same, will be published in the Times and Seasons as soon as the translation is completed. John Taylor clearly thought there was a translation taking place.
Me, thank you, Thor. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm so glad to be here.
Glad to have you, Kinderhook.
Well, I'm a fraud.
Yes, you are a fraud. You are a hoax. The church agrees. Let's take a look at the church's essay, which I've linked below. In 1843, a group of men unearthed 6 bell-shaped brass plates about 3 inches in height from an American Indian burial mound near Kinderhook, Illinois. The plates contained symbols resembling an ancient script, and one member of the group thought the artifacts appeared well suited for Joseph Smith to translate. Accounts suggested the discovery intrigued Joseph Smith and other Latter-day Saints in Illinois, but no translated text resulted from this short-lived excitement. But then it goes on to say, chemical and metallurgical analysis of the one surviving plate confirms the artifact was not an ancient production. Modern studies, agreed by the church, have proven the plates that Joseph Smith was presented with, they were a hoax. Modern studies, agreed by the church, have proven the plates that Joseph was presented with to be a hoax.
I was made by a couple of guys who wanted to prove Joseph Smith was a liar. So they crafted me up, and I assume expected Joseph to translate me through some divine means, like using the seer stone or some general inspiration.
Did that not happen?
No, he reached for his Hebrew lexicon and tried to find similar characters on me to the lexicon or other manuscripts.
How is looking at his lexicon not an attempt to translate the characters on the plates? Just because he didn't attempt a divine translation, as you claim, does not mean he didn't attempt a secular translation.
Wait, so he didn't try to translate you the way he did the Book of Mormon or even like the Book of Moses or the Book of Abraham?
No.
Yes. The Book of Abraham was translated using the grammar and alphabet of the Egyptian language, a document in which Joseph Smith took the hieroglyphics from the papyrus he had and ascribed whole paragraphs of meaning to each symbol.
The closest we have to that is a quote attributed to Joseph Smith, but is actually from William Clayton, saying, President Joseph has translated a portion and says they contain the history of the person with whom they were found, and he was a descendant of Ham, through the loins of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and that he received his kingdom from the ruler of heaven and earth.
The church's essay describes Joseph's encounter with the plates. Joseph apparently examined the plates and, according to his clerk William Clayton, remarked that they contained the history of a descendant of Ham through the loins of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Joseph evidently did not attempt a revelatory translation as he had done with the Book of Mormon plates. That's from the essay. What the essay omits is that in the writings of William Clayton, the full statement reads, I have translated a portion of them, and find they contain the history of the person with whom they were found. He was a descendant of Ham through the loins of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he received his kingdom from the ruler of heaven and earth. See how the essay omits the declaration of it being translation, albeit not a revelatory one. There are arguments as to whether this should be written in the first person as though it were Joseph's words or the third person, but nevertheless, there is no escaping the fact that the statement Joseph made about the contents of the plates was considered to be a translation by contemporary reliable sources. After all, William Clayton was entrusted to record sections of D and C, such as 124 and 125. Therefore, we have a situation where Joseph has translated a portion of the contents of the Kinderhook plates, and by doing so, failed to spot the hoax. We also have an essay approved by the church stating that no translated text resulting from this short-lived excitement, when in fact a reliable description of Joseph's translation does exist in text and is quoted in that self-same essay. This is a sleight of hand moved by the church to muddy the waters and conflate a secular translation with a revelatory translation. So they can try and say Joseph didn't attempt to translate the Kinderhook plates when he did.
Well, where did he get that idea from?
Well, one of the symbols they forged on me was a boat-shaped symbol. It was in Joseph Smith's. Am I pointing to it?
Yeah.
Okay. That symbol is present, and it's translated to honor by beast, kingly power, by the line of Pharaoh, possession of the beast, by one who reigns upon his throne universally, possession of heaven and earth, and the blessings of the earth.
Translated to is not accurate here. Despite the fact that the characters on the Kinderhook plates are made up, if Joseph was trying to treat them like Egyptian characters that he was studying for the Book of Abraham, this highlights his ignorance of ancient Egyptian. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics do not ascribe whole paragraphs to a single symbol.
Wait, Kinderhook, that sounds a lot like William Clayton's journal.
Yeah, it seems that
It's interesting how the church presents a narrative of Joseph's illiteracy when it's convenient, yet apologists disregard the words of his full-time secretary and scribe when it doesn't fit their narrative. How curious that a man who can't write for himself very well, and so has a scribe, would dictate something as important as a translation to his scribe and not write it in his own hand. Do you see what I'm saying there?
Joseph looked at a few of the characters he thought was similar to the Egyptian alphabet lexicon he had, and he made a guess.
I wonder if by Egyptian alphabet lexicon she means grammar and alphabet of the Egyptian language, which is the document I mentioned earlier that Joseph used in his attempts to translate the Egyptian papyrus. Now it seems that way, as their citation in the bottom right led me to Book of Mormon Central's article about the Kinderhook plates, and that says this. An eyewitness remembered him also comparing the characters on the plates with his Egyptian alphabet, and Pratt said they were being compared to the Egyptian papyri in Joseph's possession. Pratt in this instance is Parley P. Pratt, who is a reliable source according to this Fair Mormon video because they used him earlier when it suited them.
Huh. Kinderhook, what happened after that? Was the Book of Kinderhook published into a scripture? I mean, that would be pretty damning, you know?
No. Literally nothing happened. Joseph didn't try to translate me. He didn't make a Book of Mormon sequel out of me. He literally didn't mention me in any of his journals or to his friends. The only time he did was when he passingly requested for me to be sent to the Antiquarian Society of Philadelphia, France, and England.
We don't know why Joseph didn't say more than the small translation he gave. However, Joseph's belief that they were a real ancient record is held up by the point you just made, that he sent them to an antiquarian society.
So, to be clear, you were made to fraud Joseph and nothing happened.
Well, no, something happened. He made a statement that the plates contained, and I'll quote it, the history of the person with whom they were found. He was a descendant of Ham through the loins of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and that he received his kingdom from the ruler of heaven and earth. That was recorded by a trustworthy, reliable source. That is a translation that Joseph declared he had made. Now, I'm speculating here, but it seems as though Joseph got his above translation from the one Kinderhook plate symbol that vaguely matched the ones in the grammar and alphabet of the Egyptian language, those ones that came from real papyrus. And so he ascribed something to match his own made-up definitions that he put in the grammar and alphabet of the Egyptian language. We know those are made up thanks to Egyptology as we know it today. When he couldn't find any more symbols on the Kinderhook plates which matched the papyrus, because the ones on the plates were gibberish, I just think he gave up. Maybe that's what happened. Who knows?
Literally, I'm kind of honestly embarrassed about it. I mean, he didn't even care about me even slightly, like not even a little bit. He didn't pray to translate me.
That's an unfounded claim. Do they have any evidence that he didn't pray to translate the plates? Joseph Smith was meant to be the prophet of the restoration. Surely he was praying about most things he did. But we need some evidence if they're going to make the claim that Joseph didn't even bother to pray about the Kinderhook plates.
He looked at me once for like the symbol from his book, and then he ghosted me forever.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but is there anything you want to say to your audience, or?
Oh, well, I'm a fraud, but I'm glad to see that my great-grandson, the CES letter, is having a little more success than I did.
And we end with a nice bit of ad hominem, really rounds things off. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to tune in next week. Leave suggestions for what you want fact-checking in the comments below. I'm willing to tackle most church media, and if you feel there's something that needs fact-checking, please let me know. So that you know when I'm uploading next, feel free to subscribe, ring the bell, and thumbs up this video at the very least if you did like it. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers.